Does great audio quality have to cost an arm and a leg? Rode recently released the PodMic, which is supposed to be able to compete with legendary vocal microphones like the Shure SM7B, but the PodMic retails for usually about 1/4 the price. Now, this is not a sponsored video in any way. I placed an order for this back in February, and my order was finally delivered last month, so I've been using the PodMic for a few weeks with the Rodecaster Pro, and I wanted to help you decide if this is the right microphone for you. So I paid $100 for mine, and for that price, you get one heck of a microphone. This thing is built like a tank. It is really, really heavy, much more so than it looks. And just for the sake of comparison, when it comes to the weights of these two microphones, the SM7B weighs in at 1.85 pounds, while the PodMic is heavier at 2.0 pounds. I was weighing these microphones after I filmed the talking part of the video, and my point was that the PodMic is heavy, which makes it feel like it's really solidly constructed. But what I didn't expect was that it would actually be heavier than the SM7B. This was 1.85 pounds, and the PodMic came in at over 2 pounds. So it's a smaller microphone, but it is really built like a tank. Like, you could hurt a person with this microphone. Hopefully you'd never need to. It has one XLR port on the back, a metal grill, and then a built-in windscreen inside of the microphone. So it's supposed to be all you need to just plug and play and start producing great sounding audio. Fortunately, for the sake of comparison for this video, I was able to borrow a Shure SM7B. These are incredible microphones. You can kind of see what Rode did with the PodMic was they wanted to make a mini SM7B. At least that's what it seems like. These microphones have been around for decades. They're pretty legendary. Basically every radio station, studio, whatever production facility has these around. They are terrific microphones. They typically retail for around $400 each, whereas the PodMic is usually around $100. So that is a very different price for two microphones that set out to do kind of the same thing, which is record great quality audio for vocals. So before we go any further, let's set up a comparison between these two microphones running through the Rodecaster Pro. Now, since both of these are Rode items, the Rodecaster and the PodMic, there is actually a built-in PodMic equalizer setting in the Rodecaster. So I'm just going to select that and then adjust the level so that it seems to suit my voice. The Shure SM7B doesn't have its own setting built into the Rodecaster Pro. So what I'm gonna do is select the dynamic microphone setting and then level it out. What I've been using up to this point to record this video is the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which has been mounted on an arm just out of the frame. So I'm actually gonna switch from this mic to the PodMic right now. So now everything you're hearing is coming from the Rode PodMic, and for the rest of this video, everything you hear will be coming from one of these two microphones. And whenever you're recording your voice for like a radio show or a podcast or a voiceover, you typically want to be pretty close to the microphone. So whichever mic I'm testing, I'll try to lean more closely into that one. So if I switch from the PodMic now over to the Shure SM7B, hopefully you can hear some differences. What I'm really hoping actually is that you don't really hear any differences and that the two microphones sound pretty similar, because I would love for an inexpensive mic like the PodMic to be able to compete with a legendary expensive mic like the Shure SM7B. So if you're shopping for a microphone, at some point you'll probably find yourself comparing these two microphones just because they're supposed to be able to do kind of the same thing, record great quality audio. The SM7B, you're gonna find nothing but pretty much glowing and positive reviews for, whereas the PodMic is really new. And so while the initial impressions for the PodMic have been really good, it hasn't been around long enough to really develop that reputation that the SM7B has. But so far, from what I've seen and from my own experience using it, I really don't see any reason that in the coming years, this won't become one of the standard microphones, because if for no other reason than just the accessibility of cost. So the Rodecaster Pro that I'm using right now has 4 XLR inputs. So if you want to do kind of a typical podcast setup where you have 4 microphones, You can fill each one of these channels with a PodMic for the same price as one of the Shure SM7B microphones. And to me, that's huge that you could get that setup for a quarter of the price. 4 microphones for the price of one microphone kind of puts things in perspective a bit. And neither of these microphones requires any external power. They both just have one XLR port. I have the gain level of the PodMic set at 37, whereas I have the gain level of the SM7B set up to 40. And so what this means is you really need to boost the signal. Usually when people are using the SM7B, they have it plugged into something like a cloud lifter, which boosts the signal and then makes it easier to work with. But that wasn't something I wanted to do, because for me, it was really important to keep things simple. The Rodecaster Pro is a very simple, super powerful device, and I wanted something that I could just plug directly into it. Now, obviously, the SM7B is working fine, so there's no reason you couldn't just plug it directly, but I do have the level and the gain turned up much higher than I do on this microphone. So if you're recording a quieter subject or somebody with a softer voice, you might find yourself kind of topping out at the levels without adding some kind of amplifier or cloud lifter. And for me, I didn't want any other equipment involved. I just wanted to be able to plug in a microphone, press record, and go. When you are speaking close into a microphone, usually you don't want to speak directly into it because that's going to catch a lot of your breath and a lot of the air that comes out. So you kind of want to speak across the front of the microphone. But as you can see, if I move to the side of the PodMic, my voice kind of changes. If I move behind it, it changes. If I go over here to the front, then it becomes more clear. And same thing on the other side. So it's pretty good at just picking up the subject. And then if you just kind of talk directly into it, maybe at a little angle, you can do the whole like Peter Pepper, picked a pecka, pickled peppers, something pizzas. I don't remember how that goes. You can sort of see the same thing over here with the SM7B. If I talk directly into the front of it, I do have this windscreen on, but the microphone itself looks very similar to the PodMic without it. But it does come with this windscreen. It does a great job of protecting from breath and all the aspirations and all those things. Aspirations and I don't know, from bad sounds, wind. I guess it would actually be easier if I just twisted the microphone. I don't have to move myself around. I can just twist the microphone and talk, and you can kind of hear how it picks up audio from different directions. Same thing over here. You can kind of hear how it changes as I turn the microphone. You might be getting some noise from that cable, but you can definitely hear that it picks things up from the front and rejects things from the side and behind. So these two microphones really do share a lot of similarities with one another. And my goal here wasn't to prove that one is better than the other, but just to compare a legendary microphone with a new microphone, a more expensive microphone with a less expensive microphone, and then let you use your ears to decide if you think there is a difference, and if there is it worth the cost, is it not? That's a totally personal decision that you need to make. But what's really important to remember is that you do not need any of this stuff to start doing a podcast. One of the things that I see so often is that people say, I'm ready to start my podcast. I just need to get a little bit more equipment, or I just need to plan out a few more things and write out some scripts. And I'm all for preparing, but the best thing you can do when it comes to something like a podcast or a YouTube channel or making your own thing is just to jump in and make it. So as I've said in other videos, if all you have is a phone with a voice memo app, that is a great place to get started. There's even some pretty inexpensive microphones you can plug directly into your phone. You can use that right now and start today and upload it for free. And then you can start collecting equipment as time goes on and you figure out what you need for your specific goal. I personally think that the PodMic and the Rodecaster Pro are an incredible combo, and the Rodecaster Pro, if you didn't know, is one of my favorite tools that has come out in the past few years. This thing is unbelievable, and I put together a review of mine and how much I love it, so you can click on that, check that out, and I will see you over in that video.